Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hi guys, welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. We're back for episode 16, and this is your host Kelly. I'm here with Megan as usual.
Hello, everybody.
And we are going to touch on a important topic today, but it's a little bit lighter topic than some of the ones we've done so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to talk about it because I feel like there was a period of time where this was a major issue for me. Thankfully, I think I'm past it, but I know it's a major issue for a lot of people in my life. So I think it's important. So today we're going to be talking about how to take a break from social media and also how to know when you need to take a break from social media because, social media is a huge part of most people's lives at this point. And it can become almost addictive.
Yeah. And define you in a way, like you let it define you, the comparison on all that. So it's a tricky thing.
And there have been a lot of studies, and I don't think we need studies to show us this, but that being online a lot on social media can create comparison, can create dissatisfaction with your life, can create, unrealistic expectations of yourself, of your body, of your family. So I think since we all know that, our conscious knows that, but that doesn't mean that we don't absorb some of that anyway, even though we rationally know that it's not reality, that it's curated. We know all of that, but it still can really affect us.
I agree. And I also think it's important to kind of just go into the subject because it also is intertwined with it, the idea of how to handle kids and teens in social media and how to monitor that, because that can really heavily affect the way they see themselves. Just like it's the same as the way we see ourselves and handle it. The kids are handling it, but in a much more influential way because they're just absorbing it all. So it's like, how do you monitor the time? How do they take a social media break? How do you notice cues that maybe they're showing you that maybe you need to know that they need a break, because I see such young kids, and it says that sometimes that their mom and dads are running their account, but like young kids have social media now. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was helping you out as a nanny, your kids we all were in that world of MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was still a comparison situation. So when your kids were growing up at that age, they still had social media at their fingertips, and they're still, so
that was
a thing,
that was the difference, I think, because at that time, what the news was telling us and what scientific studies were telling us were that what we needed as parents was to watch out for cyberbullying. So, and that was really the only subject that was broached about social media. So I had all the passwords for my kids' account, and I would check and make sure that, first of all, no like stranger danger creeper was asking them for photos or their address or something weird like that. But secondly, that there wasn't any cyberbullying going on. And that I did have to actually handle that subject. There was an issue that was a cyberbullying issue that happened. And my child was the bully, I hate to say.
Oh, goodness sake.
Oh, God, yes.
But it's still, like, you can be one side or the other, and you still have to handle it as a parent.
Right.
How do you step in and handle
it?
Right.
Everybody talks about like what to do if your child is the victim of a cyberbully attack, or how to monitor that, or what signs to look for and this kind of stuff. But nobody really talks about what to do if your child is being the bully. So I did have to deal with that, but it never occurred to me to worry about their mental health as far as issues of sadness, comparison, jealousy, or social media addiction. That it never even occurred to me. No one was talking about it at that time.
Nobody.
So now I think I think Instagram really started that, because Instagram was a much more curated photo heavy feed. So that really started things. But, now we have Snapchat, which you can't sign into your kid's account unless you're on their phone, and the photos delete after, being viewed. So there's a lot of, issues with underage minors sending each other nude photos, talking inappropriately. I mean, you really
can't do anything about it unless you physically can get your kid to hand over their phone and you're checking. But even then, that's like such a breach of trust sometimes. That's why I was like curious when you said, you had all their passwords and stuff like that, and you would, check for things like bullying and stuff like that. There has to make sure, like, I don't know, some kids get really weird about it. And I guess if you do, you do, but you want to make sure that the kid feels like they have that space where they can go in and, be themselves on social media, but you have to be so careful because it's such a weird world we live in.
Well, I told all the kids as a blanket promise from me, and not just about social media, but anything, that unless something was a health or a safety issue, I would not interfere. I would not get involved. They wouldn't be punished for things they said to their friends on, social media or by text message, or for things that they told me. I would keep all their confidences, and I would not get involved unless it was a health or safety issue.
Yeah.
And I held that. I mean, I was very adamant about sticking to that promise, even when it was hard. And they did feel comfortable enough with that to come to me when some of their friends were having things that they recognized right away was the health or safety issue. So, I mean, I've had to talk to other parents and tell them their kid was about to run away, or that their kid was involved in some kind of, sexually inappropriate relationship. Or, I mean, I've had to be the parent who brings the bad news to another parent. And it affected my relationship with some of my mom friends for sure. But it was one of those things where we had that agreement. If they came across something that was a health or safety issue, they had to bring it to me and I had to deal with it. But other than that, I didn't snoop, Yeah.
Because it's almost like kids don't have diaries anymore. They have their social media, So if you're going in and you're checking their DMs, you're checking their messages, as much as a parent we have a right to do, it's like you also want to feel like that they can trust you and that they know you trust them to make good choices. It's such an invasion of privacy, but again, weird world. But yes, off topic, but I just thought that was interesting because, you're a mother and I have a 9-year-old going on 10. She does not have any social media, although she asks me every other day, but she does have this thing called Roblox, which is like a gaming thing.
Yeah.
And it also has this chat form you can so there is a definitely a cyberbullying issue sometimes, not personally with her, but she tells me sometimes people will say things.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm interested to know what you handled with, because I know social media is not going away and my kids are only getting older. And I'm like, how am I going to properly handle this without a breach of trust?
Right. My kids had Club Penguin and then they evolved to MySpace. So
I remember Club Penguin only because
that had a chat feature too, where you could talk to your friends and be in a little group with them. But one thing I wish I had thought of and knew that back then was to talk to my girls, especially about making those comparisons with people that they see online, and accepting yourself and the wonders that are you versus, what makes other people them, and how everybody brings value to the table. I wish I did have those conversations in a generalized way, but not in a social media centric way where, honey, people Photoshop their photos, people use filters, people use Facetune. That's not necessarily what that person looks like in their real life. And even if it is, you don't need to hold yourself to the standards of what anyone else.
Well, they're the 0.1%,
exactly.
Sorry, it's not. But anyway, how to take a social media break. This is such a big thing because everybody has social media. Everybody has social media nowadays. My dad does, and so it's what are the signs of when you properly take a break and for how long, because I've personally taken breaks when I felt burnt out, and boy, do I feel good coming back. But it's I know certain people that'll take a posting break, but they're still scrolling, and it's what is an actual social media break? How do you properly go about it? Because if you're still scrolling, then it's still triggering that part of the brain that's possibly comparing, that's possibly the addictive part for you. Maybe it's not the posting, maybe it's not, but maybe it's or maybe you just are literally ignoring your work or your friends or your family or, taking care of yourself because you're just so into social media and the world of others. Maybe it's not about you, so it's such a complex thing.
I would definitely pay attention to what your instinct is when you pick up your phone. if you immediately go to social media first thing in the morning, or when you first pick up your phone, if you're on social media when you're on the clock and you're supposed to be working, if that's something especially that your employer frowns upon and you're doing it because it's too long for that 8 hours or whatever to not be on social media. If you're on social media or trying to curate an experience to post on social media instead of enjoying the present of where you are and what you're doing, those are all things that I think would be a red flag.
That's such a big one. I see that often where people are it's just so much of their life that I'm like, I see you are doing things, but it's literally like, I watched it like I was there, but were you there? You know, it's like that. But yeah, that's a good one too.
I mean, I watch people who are watching a concert or something in live, and they're watching it through their camera screen, their iPhone screen, because they're videotaping it or live streaming it or something like that. And you miss a lot like that because it's a limited view. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. There's like a comedian, Louis C.K., I think is his name. And he was making a joke about his kids play and how everyone's phones go up. And he's like, the resolution on your kid is way better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, and that's stuck with me, honestly, because I'm a victim of trying to capture those moments because I think they're important. I get it. It's kind of like, instead of taking the giant VHS out, we're taking our phones out, you know, but also real life is way better, you know? So if that's your first go-to where you're out with your family and you're recording every second of it and people are kind of aware of that, and it's, you know, maybe take a step back and self-reflect, you know?
I think if you have trouble enjoying a moment in your life or an event or a time that you're having with friends and family, if you have trouble enjoying that because you're requiring the validation of needing to post it and have it be public that you did it, if you're doing something really cool and you can't fully enjoy that because you're not sharing it with your followers, that is a red flag to me. But beyond just like how you use social media, how often you're on social media, a big, you know, thing about whether to take a break on social media or not is how it's affecting you. Not so much the hours you spend on it, but how that is affecting you and your mental health, for sure.
Oh yeah. No, it's, if you're constantly feeling like you need to keep up with whoever that you're, you know, like filtering. Here's the thing. I agree that if there's any feeds that are giving you this feeling like you need to, you know, create this life that isn't yours or fake it or, you know, up your game, so to speak, you know, then maybe don't follow them anymore. Like, surround the people that you follow with things that inspire you and uplift you, but things aren't going to like drag you down and make you feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You need to really look at the list of people that you're following and figure out whether they make you feel good after you've closed the app or worse.
Mm-hmm.
If they're making you feel worse, then I would say the first step would be to purposely look. You can search by hashtag, search by, you know, keyword, whatever, and look for things that are positive that you can follow, that maybe these accounts are positive, but for you, they leave a negative.
Not good.
Right. Because you do too much comparisons or, you know, you have this fear of missing out or whatever it is. So you can follow all kinds of really great uplifting accounts. And if there's things that you're working on within yourself, there are a lot of accounts that are motivational, that whether it's anything from fitness to mental health to career, like there's always, you know, in every platform, there are people who specialize in that, and they give tips and tricks, and they are really motivational to their followers, and they give you a sense of accountability also. That's great. I mean, if you want to recurate your feed to have it be something that is positive for you, I would highly recommend doing that.
Do you ever take like a full day break from all social media?
Mm-hmm. I do. But this is a relatively new thing for me because, I mean, when our site was a personal blog for me, I couldn't do that. It was my job. Yeah. So that took all for me. I'm not on social media that much anymore because having that period of time where I was a quote unquote influencer and that was my personal blog took a lot of the joy out of social media for me. And where it felt more like a chore. Oh, I have to post this. I have to post 3 times today. The pressure to create content on a regular basis.
Yeah.
The pressure to show, you know, my life as something exciting and super fun. And I would get lost in the moment creating a curated image, and I would miss the whole, what was supposed to be fun about it.
Amen.
I mean, I would spend the whole picnic trying to lay it out perfectly,
the perfect
trying to
lay.
half climb up a tree to get the overhead shot. And I mean, the picnic, by the time I would be ready to enjoy it, would be gross. Like,
no, I get it.
Yeah.
I am currently in whatever it is, an influencer. I still do it. But I made a decision in 2021 that I was going to just post the things that brought me joy and not worry about some curated layout, because all the things you said, I don't even need to repeat them. That's exactly how I felt. And I was noticing that it was like, I was creating beautiful moments in life, but only for the sake of the gram, so to speak. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like a beautiful picnic and my kids were there and everything was perfect, but it was like only for work. And, you know, I wasn't actually there, and I was super focused on making sure they were looking the right way. And the sun, it was just,
yeah. Or we travel a lot, and trying to make sure I plan a photo shoot for every vacation. And sometimes my family members don't feel like being in a photo shoot, or, you know, so they're enjoying their vacation and I'm, you know, with a photographer trying to get just the right shot. And that's not what I wanted to have my life be like.
It can be fun. I do it because it's fun sometimes, but when you're doing it and it feels like work all the time, then you have to take a step back and go, is this really truly bringing me joy? Because also, not like we're not all unique and we don't bring something unique to the game. Do you know how saturated these social media platforms are with people just like me, just like you, doing this thing that I'm like, what is my end goal here? To be like a billionaire doing this? Because literally my kids are growing up faster than I can imagine, and I'm missing that, trying to get the perfect shot. So it's like, I do it sporadically when it makes me, because it brings me joy and it's my creative outlet. But I when it started to become all I did for just work, then it was, I had no choice but to take a reflective self, you know, and take a break from that. And taking that break made me realize, like, oh no, I enjoy real life a little bit more. And that break turned into like just a shift in priorities. So sometimes a small break can make you just really reflect on, like, is this truly what's bringing me joy? And that's great. You know,
for me, it was two things that caused me to not want to do it anymore. And the first one was the pressure of constantly needing to create content. It was really interfering with my day-to-day life. And the second was, I was becoming kind of obsessive over the response that posts were getting. So I would work
that validation.
Yeah. I would work really hard on doing this photo shoot, having the stylist plan the outfit, having the photographer do the professional photographer. It's time, it's money, it's effort. And then I would post I would be so proud of the end result, and I would post the picture, and sometimes they would do amazing. And then sometimes they would not perform. And it really was, I mean, my like count was affecting my happiness day to day. So if I was getting a ton of likes, I was super pumped that day and I couldn't wait to do another photo shoot. And if my photo got hardly any likes, I was like, why am I doing this? So that's when I started to realize that it was becoming kind of detrimental to my mental health to continue.
Did you find I don't know if you stopped before, but did you find the pandemic kind of a halt too? Because I know a lot of people that do this influencer thing, they just kind of had to slow down because, like, you couldn't go out in public and take pictures so easily and meet with photographers and not have to wear a mask in public. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, that's definitely true. I mean, even for our site now, it's no longer a personal blog. Obviously, you guys know it's a digital lifestyle magazine, but I was still shooting a lot of original content for our articles when the pandemic started. And I wasn't able to do that. So that, it did definitely affect things.
And I think it made everyone take a bit of a social media break in their own way. But like, whether you couldn't do your normal thing, you know, like we follow wonderful people that do this, that are out and about and doing all these wonderful things. You had to kind of stay homeward, you know, and they still found ways to be creative, or they just took a halt. You know, it's an interesting.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my personal social media is like events and things that I'm going to, and I don't post them in replacement of being present. I post them usually because I'm at an event where a brand is throwing it, or one of my other influencer friends are throwing it, and I want to support them. And part of that support is by posting about it on social media. But those events all obviously completely stopped. And so the ability to create that kind of content definitely went down. I'm not a good photographer for myself.
Right?
And
The iPhoneographer is not strong in the tripod. That's what I'm talking. It's fine. But I would prefer a good professional photographer over my iPhone and tripod though.
Yeah.
Do
for
you
sure.
find that oh, I lost my train of thought. No, I just think that social media can be very, very destructive if you're not careful, no matter your age.
Yeah,
Like,
you
it
don't
does
have
not
to be.
matter how old you are. You will feel like that girl in middle school comparing yourself to the coolest girl in class. You know what I mean? It brings
Yeah.
out sometimes our insecurities if we're not careful.
And you don't have to be an influencer to feel what I was expressing about the highs and lows of your like count and your engagement. You don't have to, because you can be just a normal person and really get wrapped up in how many people comment and like on what you
You
post.
can look at other people and get really obsessed with, well, why do they have this many and I'm not? Like, how long did what did they do to get there? That was what I was going to ask you. I've noticed that Instagram, maybe not in everyone's account, but they've started to hide the amount of likes. They say, somebody like it and others. Like, you can't see how many actual likes that somebody has. Do you think that's good, or do you think that's not good?
I actually think it's really good. It's something that we've been doing on the Monet feed. And I think it's good because it takes that pressure off and it allows you to post the content that you're most excited about and not the content geared towards the algorithm and getting as many likes as possible. Because there's a lot of really great creators out there, and there's a lot of people who have a voice and have something to say. And I know for us, sometimes the articles that we feel are going to be the most influential and have meaning to even a small segment of our readership, have a really true, deep meaning, may not be the articles we know will perform well. So it takes that pressure off for us to be able to share the content that we think has the most value, not the content we think is going to perform in the algorithm the best.
I believe that's true. And I think that now we're shifting our social media usage into like a world of TikTok. And I don't know about you, but creating one TikTok video took me 6 hours and I hate it. So I hate some people are so incredible and they do a TikTok every 5 minutes or a reel or whatever. And the transitions are amazing. So it's now like, not only are we comparing, but like some people are like taking half their day to create some 15-second video that they're hoping doesn't flop. And it's like, man, social media is bizarre now.
Yeah, it really is. It's really manufactured at this point. And there's so much competition for sponsorships, competition for coverage, and everybody wants to go viral. And it's become kind of sad to me, because I like following people who I just think are cool and are funny, and or maybe their feed is uplifting to me, whatever it is.
So when you have 15 minutes and you just kind of want to decompress a little bit, that's your usage for it. And so I want to be entertained, like you don't want to waste it with someone's silly dance move. You want to see some cute dog video or something. You know what I mean?
That's no, I think my TikTok For You page is mostly animals at this point.
There it is.
Me, when I see someone who has a super orchestrated TikTok, I might appreciate the art of it, but it feels to me less authentic, more manufactured. And I prefer a more authentic, even if it's just a person in their car talking to the camera. I prefer that kind of a connection that I get than like a whole group of people dancing in sync. I mean, I know that takes a lot of work and I'm impressed by it, but to me, I like the authentic person to person contact.
1,000%. Is there such a thing as having too many social media platforms? Because you can have 8 now. You can have Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on Clubhouse. I joined it when it first started. Yeah,
There's
but
I
literally have not listened to I haven't logged into a single group and listened, partly because I'm always doing something else. And for me, I'm a visual person. So audio distracts me really bad. I can't be listening to a podcast or Clubhouse or a book on tape or anything while I'm, reading or typing, or it very, very much distracts me. So, Clubhouse is one of those things that I understand the concept of it. And I think it's really cool, but because I'm busy all day and I'm juggling a lot of different work stuff, it's just not practical for me to be on there. And then, you're also interacting. So you're also speaking. And it just seems, unless if you're sitting at your desk and it's something that isn't distracting to you, it would be great, but it's too distracting to me. And I'm sure my family would think I was crazy if I had my AirPods in and every 5 minutes was just saying, yeah, I agree. I mean, like,
yeah, I know there's a lot of, that's the thing. There are some people that do this for an actual job, influencers that make really great money doing what they do. But I have a feeling, because I've noticed the dynamic of their family, because sometimes these are like mom bloggers or whatever that I'm talking about, for example.
yeah,
There seems to be a mutual understanding in everyone in the family that, hey, mom's working right now, because that money rewards them, but so they see social media in a different way. Just like if you were to go to Disneyland, you probably experience it different than the person who's working there because they're at work,
Yeah. I have friends who are influencers, and their social media feed and blog or whatever is the breadwinner for the family.
Yeah.
So everyone is on board.
Do they take breaks though?
Not that I can see, but I do know, I know one of them who's very, very successful. She does lump her content creation
so if
that she can, right.
And be present. Yes.
Right. And so that, she doesn't have to, her kids are in her pictures, or so is her husband. It's a family thing.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, your kids will only cooperate for so long, right?
Oh my gosh. Tell me about it. Whether you 2,000 followers or 20 million followers, kids are kids, and they are going to act only great for so long, no matter who you are.
And they're also going to get to an age where they're like, Mom, I don't want to do this anymore.
Very true.
So, but she like lumps her content creation. I think she content creates like one day a week, and then she spreads it out. So she's very organized and very planned, and she's very, very successful. I mean, her husband has a more supportive role in their family, and manages their investments and stuff, but neither one of them has to work outside of the home because of her following.
But note that is a very small percentage of them out there. And if that's something you want to go for, 1,000% go for it. But if it's just something that's causing you to like lose yourself in the process and, alienate yourself from the ones you love, and you're losing that end goal as you're driving for it, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to take a break. You need to self-evaluate how you're handling and using social media, and why you're using it, and what, you know what I mean? Like, you got to really know why you're on there. If you're just mindlessly going because it was a coping mechanism and now it's just a bad habit, then that's when you need to evaluate. And we kind of all know, we all get a weekly reminder on our phone. I don't know about you, but I do. It says, weekly screen time. Like, and if it's crazy amount, maybe self-reflect, It's true. And I just think it's good for all of us. I take Sundays are my family days. It used to be the one day that Dan had off. So that was just, and I do social media for work. And then I also do it as like a content creator influencer. So I'm on there way too much anyway. And I involve my family sometimes. So I try and make it like Sundays. I don't bring out my phone. I don't play on my phone unless it's a work related thing. I don't do it for a personal thing. Like, I'm not going to make them take pictures, because I would rather be at the beach and hang out with my kids than have how many ever strangers know I'm at the beach at that time. Like, cool. It might benefit someone to know that, I'm a great mom, but like, my kids at that moment might not think I'm a great mom. So I'm going to just be present, because they're going to remember, because I'm on my phone so much for work anyway, they're going to remember that mom didn't take her phone out. And that's the memory they're going to take, because our kids are watching us. And not only are they going to be a little bummed out that we're choosing our phone sometimes over them, but they're going to think that a phone is super important too. And they're going to pick up those addictive habits too.
We're examples for our kids, for sure.
So I try and take one day off. I try and put my phone away. If I'm playing with my kids, I don't even take my phone in the room. So I don't feel the need to like want to get on my phone. So those are small steps I take, so that I still struggle with the waking up and not checking my phone immediately. But if I'm being honest, it's work sometimes, like that. I do that because I'm really, really good in like right early in the morning, like right when I wake up, my brain's fired. And the kids wake up kind of early. So that's just like my solid time to get to work. So I screen time pretty early. But I'm trying to find ways to take breaks, because I've noticed that there's just been a really tough battle with not comparing, but just being on it too much. We all been stuck at home. And so we've all been bored, and we've all baked sourdough bread and made TikTok videos that we never thought we'd make, but now we have to like shut that down a little bit and go and live life again. Cause I feel like the pandemic did not help anybody's social media addiction.
Oh, no, not at all. We were all on every streaming platform and social media platform most of the day.
Most of the day. I was so bored in the house bored. And so now we can, I mean, it's definitely not at 1,000% better, but we can go out a bit more and enjoy life a bit more. And I still feel like we might have a bit of that lingering social media addiction.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we can all tell when we need to take a break. At least hopefully what we shared with you will help you figure out if you need to take a break. But how, right? How do you take a break?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing, the most extreme, if you really have a hard time setting aside social media time for yourself, like you do with your kids with screen time. If you can't do that for yourself, you can delete the apps altogether for a period of time. It is extreme. And
it's also easy to re-download. I was thinking you were going to go with like those crazy cell phone lockers, you know,
no.
That's extreme because they won't open for a certain amount of time. Like,
okay.
Like you can put your phone in there and then they won't open for like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
You know
people put them on the dining room table when it's dinner time and everyone has to put their phone in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes that's because I've deleted apps because I'm like, I'm going to take a month off Instagram thinking I'm all great. And then like 7 days later, that sucker shows back up. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
extreme, you can go more extreme and straight up lock your stuff away. If you have a really hard problem, like picking it up or like, you know, but that's a good one too. If you don't physically see it, it's a kind of a pain in the butt to go re-download it, type your password when you know the purpose of deleting it in the first place was to like stay away. You're kind of like, it's like reaching for the thing you're addicted to, you know? So that's a good step, extreme, but can be necessary.
And, you know, if you think that you're picking up your phone and opening it by reflex, you can move it around on your home screen. So you have to actually look for it, or you can hide it from your home screen, putting it in a folder or something like that. I mean, that sometimes we have those buttons like front and center on our home page on our phone. So that's just becomes habit. The first thing you do is click that and open it up.
We're so used to what the app logo looks like that
Yeah.
we're not even really looking for the name. We just see the logo and click on the logo. So yeah, make it hard to find.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind sometimes. So, I recommend to everyone that they plug their phone in, not right next to their bed and not even not in the same room. If that's possible, that's not possible for me. I have children who don't live at home and I need to be reachable, but, I have taken to, you know, wearing my Apple Watch and then plugging my phone in away because the watch will, not super far away. It has to attach still to my watch, but if my phone is ringing, my watch will alert me if I have a text message, but it's not right there on the nightstand where I can pick it up and scroll when when I should be sleeping or first thing in the morning, those kind of, you know, hot button times. Yep. So that does help. But yeah, for me, like, I don't want to miss a middle of the night phone call from a kid who's having so
I would hate that, you know,
yeah.
Or if you have somebody who's older and you have to check in on them, like,
right.
A lot of people need to be reachable.
Right. So, I wear my Apple Watch. I wear it as I sleep. I started doing that because it was tracking my sleep. I was using an app that tracked it through my Apple Watch. I don't do that anymore. I have a different kind of sleep tracker, but, I still wear it at night because I might not always hear my phone when it rings at night. But I will feel the watch vibrating on my wrist and that wakes me.
Yeah.
So, thankfully it doesn't ring very often late at night. And if it does, I usually know it's an emergency.
Life works, especially your wacky life. Sometimes it's the one time that it's not in the room is the one time that there's something wacky going on. So
exactly.
And you know your life and you got to know what you're capable of, but that just means that you just need to be a little bit more of like a mental ninja about it. Like,
yeah,
you have to have your thing next to you have to remind yourself that it's not good I know when I'm picking it up in the morning, I'm doing something bad. I have to reach over the book, you know, to get my phone or like, you know, I know that if I just get up and get a cup of coffee and walk around and listen to the birds, that's going to be 1,000% better than grabbing my phone and staring at a screen without blue blocker glasses and like ruining my day. I know, we all know, but yeah. Sometimes if you are not able to just like be mature about it, then put it in another room. If you have no choice, then you just have to fight through those urges because you know that it's going to get better. Set boundaries. Boundaries are always good.
Yeah. Setting boundaries is always good. So that's the tip that works for me. I plug my phone in where it's not just where I can reach for it, but where I'm still alerted. I have had those middle of the night emergency phone calls. So I know how serious they are and how I need to be available. But one thing I did not know, and the author of our article on this topic opened my mind, blew my mind on this, because I don't know how I didn't know this. So you can set time limits for your apps on your iPhone. So apparently if you have an iPhone, if you go to settings and then screen time, you can select either downtime or app limits. With downtime, you choose certain apps to go on between certain hours. So you can set your time, say on Facebook, between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. You can do whatever you want. And the others are off limits. With app limits, you can allot a certain time limit for each app. And when that time limit runs out, the app will be inaccessible. So that is kind of like that cell phone locker thing that you were talking about, but it's within so every iPhone user has that. I can imagine it would be very frustrating if you had a real time social media addiction, but you might have to be that extreme.
But come on, like if the word addiction, to be fair, is extreme for a reason. Like if anything, you shouldn't be like trying to, give yourself a way out, like, but I don't want to. Well, maybe the fact that you don't want to so bad is a sign that you should, you know what I mean?
Right. This is there have been studies that said between 5 and 10% of Americans meet the criteria for addiction in regards to social media.
If Instagram broke for like 2 days, I wonder how many people would
lose their minds. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean?
I mean, social media, like, opening up social media. Like, yeah. They've said
lose their identity.
Yeah. Opening up social media for many people creates that dopamine that you get with any other addictive substance. Totally. So if you aren't sure if this is really a problem for you, I would recommend maybe using those app limits. And if you realize that you're going absolutely crazy because the app isn't accessible for you between those hours, then, you may have a much bigger issue.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good way to test it out.
Going cold turkey and just deleting the app and seeing how long it takes you to bring it back. Like just to see where your level of addictiveness is, because man, I get it. It's like, but this is why no one reads anymore, because it's so much easier to just sit on the couch and watch TikTok for like what feels like an hour for people, and they don't even know where time went or like what happened. They missed dinner,
Yeah, I do that. I read a lot, but sometimes I'm like, you know what, before I get back to my book, I'm going to open TikTok and just watch like 3 or 4 videos. I don't watch 3 or 4 videos. I watch like an hour.
It's crazy, right? Because you don't know what's coming up next. They know what they're doing when they're doing it. And it's smart. It's smart on TikTok's part, but we also have to like check ourselves, because with something so easily accessible, with everything in life, moderation is key, and social media is not off limits when it comes to that, And I believe that it definitely starts, like if they have them, it starts monitoring the time and the amount. Like that's cool that you can change the app time. So if you have a kid, you can make sure, hopefully they don't adjust it, but you can make sure that they only use it for that time.
Yeah.
But it's also, we're mirrors. So if we're always on our phone, no matter, we're influencing that generation to also see what is valuable too. And that,
if you have
all the time,
if you have kids still at home, it seems like it would be obvious, but I'm going to say this, you really should at minimum set the rule that there are no cell phones at the dinner table. And that time is just to talk as a family. Mm-hmm. It's the least we can do, like to spend that 1 hour talking about our days.
You're going to have some angry teenagers, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. It's just, if you're willing to do it, then they should be willing to do it. It's 1 hour out of your day. If they can't be without their phone for even 1 hour, then there are probably more serious issues going on. One of the easiest things we can do if social media is just kind of a distraction to us, but we're not in the full blown addiction mode, is to just turn off our notifications for all of our social media. Notifications that pop up on your phone and tell you have a new message, someone commented on a post. That can be very distracting, especially if you work and you are like logged. Yeah. If you are clocked into work and you are getting all these notifications popping up on your desktop or your iPhone, it can be way too tempting to check. So definitely turn off those notifications. I think everyone should do that. I turn off notifications.
really, unless it's work related. I don't have any social media ones because I feel like that would drive me nuts.
Yeah. I turn off notifications on almost everything because I find them to be very distracting.
Yeah. Because if your phone lights up, you think it's a text message or a phone call, you know, and you're as a mom going to check that. And if you're like, oh, cool, like so-and-so posted on Instagram, like this is why I stopped my life for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's another trending thing going on social media that I think is in line with the social media break and embracing more of like a being present lifestyle. I've noticed the people, and I've used it, but I feel kind of like, am I too old to be using it? This idea of like a photo dump, meaning like, hey, I haven't been on all day. This is what I did all day. And it's just like a scroll of everything they did that week, that month, that day.
I see that a lot when people take vacations and they don't post while they're on vacation and they just enjoy their vacation. And then when they get back, they do, you know, Hawaii photo dump or whatever. And it's all
I do it because other people did it. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can be present and not have to post in the moment and like be relevant. Cool. And I feel like the more people do that, the more people can go on vacation and actually be on vacation and not feel like they have to post everything they do on vacation. They can just photo dump. And I still enjoy that. I think it's so cool because it's just snapshots of their trip. And to be fair, that's all at the very most I deserve. You know, I wasn't not a member of that person's family. Why do I feel it like I have a right to every second of their life? You know what I mean? Maybe just 10 snapshots of the week or the month. I've seen people literally be like July photo dump. I was not here for July. I'm like, that's cool to me. I think that's great because it encourages people to just, first of all, not be so perfectionist, like with the pictures and the algorithm. Most of those things don't make any sense. It's just real life. And I think that's great. But I also think it encourages people to just like be present in the moment and just get to it when you want, you know? It's cool. I've noticed that. And I've noticed because of that, it's caused a different way of how people have been treating their social media.
Yeah. I love that idea. And I've had followers of mine tell me, you know, that they really loved how many pictures and videos I shared of my vacation because they felt like they were on the vacation with me. Yeah. And I did a hotel room tour and I took pictures of every single meal we had. And I did all the, but then I asked myself after, did my husband feel like I was on that vacation with him? Because I would literally tell him, I need you to leave the room so I can do a hotel room tour. Like
I do that.
Get out for a little while.
Hosted by like the hotel.
Yes, of course.
I'm working, my husband knows that we got that hotel room for free, or I work on behalf of that hotel. But
of course.
But that you get almost that addiction from that comment of like, oh, I felt like I was there. And I'm like, oh, well, now I'll do it. You know, it's like, who are you? You know, I get that a lot when I go to Disneyland. People are like, want me to post the entirety of my day there before the pandemic. And I felt obligated to, because there's people all around the United States that can't ever access the park. And so to them, that's the closest they're going to get to that experience. But then I went, I don't work for Disney. I'm not getting paid and my kids are being ignored. So why am I doing this? You know, I want to be that person, but there's other outlets for that. And I don't feel necessarily obligated to do that anymore. And I would get like, oh, does my husband feel like I was there? Feeling too. Cause I'm like, you know, like, can you move? You're in my shot. And he's like, I'm on vacation. What do you mean move? Like, you know, or my kid, I'd be like, can you play slower so the camera doesn't get the blur? And they're like, what are you you know, so you just got to like hear yourself sometimes and go, what am I saying?
Exactly.
You know,
and you know, being present in the moment is something that is harder and harder to do in the world that we live in today. And we have to be really proactive about doing it. It's not, I mean, we're all distracted all the time. There are screens at the grocery store checkout. There are screens at the gas station. There are screens everywhere to distract us from the life that we're living. And I understand why they're there. But it's really important that we take time to be unplugged from all of that and just kind of reconnect, whether we're taking a walk in nature. I'm bad at this too. Like I'm not saying I'm good at this. When I walk my dogs in the morning and I'm out in the most beautiful trails by my house, half the time I'm scrolling my phone while I'm walking them. And so I need to do the same. But if we all need to work on being present in the life that we're living and just reconnecting with ourselves, with nature, with our families, not always feeling like we need the TV on in the background, be scrolling our phone, have our AirPods in. Like we need to disconnect. We all do. It's not good that we are just, we're going to be like Wall-E, right?
Yep.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah. With the TVs in front all the time. Yeah.
Yes.
It's really,
Or like Ready Player One, where they all live in like an alternate universe when that's their
Although
real life.
super cool though.
It's super cool, but like that's their real life now, not their actual life. And it's getting a little too matrixy for me. I know for myself, I really do. I need to work on unplugging a little bit more because I miss a lot. I know I miss a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. And I think it all stems from one thing, and that's comparison. I think we all feel like, well, my friend so and so did like a hotel room tour, so I need to for whatever reason. Like we just feel like we need to just keep up with the next person, and it's like, no, like, it's fine. It's just gotten so weird,
Well, and teaching our brains that we don't need to be entertained every second of the day. That's something that, I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't have any of this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I used my imagination.
When I was a kid, I didn't have it. I don't feel
Yeah.
I guess I am older. I am old, but like to my kids, I'm old. But like I told them, I'm like, dude, straight got bored so much during summer. Did
Yeah.
not have a screen to rely on at all. Actually,
No.
I had a computer, but it was like 30 minutes. It was monitored, and like that was the highlight of my day.
No, I mean half my summer I spent at my grandmother's house. She didn't even have cable. So unless I wanted to watch, The Price is Right, there was nothing to do on the TV.
Yes.
So she'd hand me like a stick and be like, here, it's a magic wand and it's a sword and it's a whatever. And I'd have to go outside and pretend was my whole childhood. So I know now that I can tell, because even when my husband and I are watching a movie in the theater room together at night, which there's a movie on the screen, we're both on our phones scrolling.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. Or we're laying in bed next to each other at night. I'm next to the person I love most in the world, and I'm scrolling my phone and he's scrolling his phone. We are not looking at the same thing or interacting with each other at all. So, I mean, we really need to start limiting.
I feel like once you're awake to this, then the world starts to change. But if you're just doing it out of habit or out of like an escape from whatever you're feeling or going through, sometimes it's easier just to tune out than it is to be present.
Because okay.
My
husband, Alex, he has pretty significant anxiety. Like I think it's probably ADD. He has never been, diagnosed with that, but his mind races all the time. It never shuts off.
Yeah.
So I taught him how to play Free Cell on his phone and a couple of other games. I started with Free Cell. Now he's got like 3 games on his phone. And that was only 5 years ago, maybe. But when he's playing that game, his brain shuts off a little bit, like it dims, right? Because he's focused on the game. Yeah. And so he will play it when he's feeling like overstimulated and needs to decompress. Mm-hmm. And I totally get it. I know when I see him playing that game, like he either just had a really difficult phone call or he's overstimulated for whatever reason and he's decompressing, and that's fine. So I do see there's a value in that kind of a thing. I totally get that, but I also get that.
But is he constantly checking everyone's feed all
day?
No. Pictures for the gram, like he has an ability to not. That's he can shut it off because that's. You know what I mean? Like he can put it away and be present,
Right. Right. And that's important. I feel like we're all getting used to having some form of entertainment in front of us, basically 24/7. And it feels really quiet when we don't have it. I mean, even if I'm in the tub, I'm usually on my phone. Like,
oh yeah. I feel like we're all afraid to be alone with ourselves or afraid to be bored. Like we all don't know what bored is anymore, cause we can just be instantly entertained,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not alone with my thoughts often, but I'm alone with like just the TikTok discover scroll, like often, you know what I mean? Like I need to just not have you're right. Like, why do I need my phone in my bath? Okay. Well, sometimes it's hard because it's like, I have young kids and that's my only time to like really do that. But also I don't need it. That's also don't need it. I can also just sit there and relax and enjoy and be present in that moment, and
how I know it's a problem is when I have more than one screen on me at the same time.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I need to have my phone scrolling while I'm watching a movie. That makes
I do that too, though. I don't know what
sense.
It's about. I'm like, what am I? Then are you really focusing on anything at that point? Because there's 2 things going on at once. So are you really focusing on one? Because I have it too in the background where like I'll have like a silly show on while I'm like having another screen.
Yeah.
Why? It's crazy. That's maybe a self-reflection moment, where you're like, how many screens does your one head need?
Right. What are we distracting ourselves from? Yeah. What are we hiding from? And I know like a lot of people use their screen time to kind of give distance to maybe difficult relationships, maybe
That's what I mean, it's like
stressful
coping mechanism
situations.
for something going on in their life. You know?
Right. And that I understand why that might be necessary, or decompressing when you're overstimulated, things like that. I get it. But for the rest of us who aren't dealing with that, and we are distancing ourselves from family and relationships that are positive and that we enjoy, why are we doing that? We need to ask ourselves that. Why are we afraid to be alone with our thoughts? Like we need that time. We need thinking time. Everybody does. So if we're avoiding it, it's hard for personal growth. It's hard to be innovative. It's hard to be creative. It's hard to do any of that when all we're doing is watching other people's lives go by on a tiny screen.
Yeah, I think the pandemic showed us that the world can change in the matter of an instant. So if, let's just say for fun purposes, your phone breaks and shatters and you can't use it all day, are you going to be literally crippled by that because you can't do the one thing that, if the thought of you not having your phone for a whole day makes those feelings come up, that's the time to check yourself, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever left the house?
Lose it.
Have you ever left the house and then realized when you got where you were headed that you forgot your phone?
And
Like,
you're not like if you're a mom, not like, oh, only moms get out of this, but sometimes you need to be.
Yeah, but no, you could have your kids with you. Like just the
Yeah,
idea that your phone is not,
yet you need your phone. Yes.
you thought your phone was in your purse. It's not in your purse. And you realize you left it on the kid.
Yeah.
The absolute panic that comes over you when, I went on vacation. It was Thanksgiving. I was getting the Uber driver situated to our house on my phone, and all my kids, husband, everyone who I cared about and needed to hear from was in the car with me. And we're on our way to the airport. And I realized I got out of the car and I went to like rate my trip and tip him and whatever. And I realized that my phone, I had set it on the kitchen counter and didn't take it. So I am now in the airport and no time, obviously, to turn around, no phone. Yeah. And of course, I had our boarding passes electronically on my phone.
That's the thing. Our phone can do so much that it's like chopping off a leg or an arm.
That's
important arm.
That was the first. That happened to me again. I brought my phone that time, but I was in the airport and I had used the restroom and my phone fell in the toilet.
You have the crazy. Okay, no one listen to this and go, "This is real," because this is just your reality. These things happen, but no one else has these issues.
No. So these were 2 vacations that I took where I did not have my phone with me. So
how did you do?
Well, the Thanksgiving vacation where I left it on the counter, I ended up going to the local, I was at Sprint customer at the time. I ended up going to the local Sprint store and getting one of those little cheap flip phones so that I could be reachable, but it wasn't a smartphone.
You're not taking like iPhone quality phone.
No, I paid like $30 for it or something. And I had them temporarily hook my number up to it. So I was reachable for work and stuff, but I wasn't a smartphone. I couldn't do any of the things I normally would do. And it was an interesting week.
And how did that go? When you don't have abilities to do something, you're forced to just accept that reality. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're open up to an experience you never thought you would because this new reality.
But I had to ask myself, do I want to spend hundreds of dollars on a temporary phone just so I can look at my Facebook? No, you had
to make that decision of like, is this worth a possible $500 to $800?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't. Yeah.
Some people, yes.
Some people, yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. I need to take my vacation photos. No.
And the side note to that is always also print out your boarding passes and your reservations with paper. Now I have a file in my bag always that has the printouts for all my reservations because that electronic stuff, I was relying on it too much. And then two times
the Uber and your phone could have smashed.
Yes. Or it fell in the toilet and I could not access any.
So you need to take it from you, Kelly. You need to have like that ability to go, this could go away in the matter of an instant. How am I going to handle that? Because if your first reaction is panic, like, yeah, let's be fair. All of our first reaction for the pandemic was panic and like terror. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I have to be inside. Like that was a big shock, but like we all made it out. We'll say
relatively unscathed.
We'll say we made it out. We're not fully out yet, but like we realized that we could withstand a lot more than we thought we could because we've just never been put in that position before, right? So you don't need to smash your phone on the ground to know the pain of it, but think about it. Just really, truly ask yourself, if I were to not have my phone with me for a full day, week, whatever, how would I handle that? Or if you don't really know, have somebody put it somewhere, where it's a day where you really don't need to be reached, but it's more just for fun, like if you don't need to be reached, but you just are addicted, put it away for a day and see how your body reacts,
I would recommend, honestly, if this is something that, if you put it away, you're going to reach for it, make a pact with your partner and switch phones with them and tell them, don't give me my phone back for the whole entire day, no matter what I say.
So tough.
And yeah, if there's an emergency and a call comes in, a text comes in, 911, something, you're going to have your partner's phone so you can tell them, but no checking anything. I mean, just for the day.
Go old school. Like where I currently live, there's a house phone. I don't know if anyone currently has those anymore, but you can be like, if an emergency, I'm not available on my cell today, call me at this number, for the people who you need to be in touch with, and like, if it comes through the house phone, it's probably an emergency.
Yeah. That's what I did on that other vacation with the phone got water damage. I texted all my kids from my partner's phone and said, my phone is dead. If you need me, call this number, call Alex.
Yeah, I've done that. Call Dan, and so that dad can reach you and he knows that you don't have your phone. So you're not panicking,
right.
But you don't need to check your Facebook all day. Like you don't need to check your Facebook for a month or Instagram. We just feel like, oh, well, I need my phone so I can get a hold of so-and-so. But while I have my phone, let me just scroll. Like it's kind of almost like a cop out of like, well, I need to be reachable. So I can't just put my phone away. Okay, well, that's not helping, let's find a way around that.
I think the only social media that I probably would not take a break from or delete is Snapchat. And for me, that's because I only use Snapchat to communicate with my kids.
Oh, okay.
I don't snap any other people. I don't even have any other people on Snapchat. But that's the way my kids' generation communicates with each other. Okay. So since I have kids living in different parts of the country, they send me little snapshots of their day all day. Oh, and I feel super close to them when I see, they'll show me what they wore that day, what they ate, where they were. They see a funny sign because they know like grammar and misspellings are my pet peeve. So if they see a funny sign they'll send me a screenshot of it. So we communicate with each other that way. We can be having one conversation on Snapchat, totally different conversation by text. Yeah. But it's a way for me to kind of feel close to them and be part of their day, even though they're across the country from me.
I think if you have if you're very clear on your purpose for the usage of this app, whatever that app is, you don't necessarily, I wouldn't put that in an addictive way because you don't go on it for anything but to just check in with your children. I'm sure you're
I've never even done a public Snapchat to other people.
There you go. Like, I mean, I do have a handful of TikToks because I just think the noises are super funny, but like my main thing with TikTok is I just go to decompress for 5 or 10 minutes. Like one would do a puzzle. I should probably read a book, but I do it just to scroll, to like be entertained and have it funny. I have never, ever tried an effect or like, I don't know. 95% of that app, I have know nothing about, but I'm not addicted to it. Like
nobody wants to see my 45-year-old butt dancing on TikTok. So I will save you from that.
Dance, you know what I mean? So like I'm not on it 20 hours a day. I could certainly scroll for a while, but I tend to put myself on like a limit and eventually I get kind of burnt out by it. So I know I'm not addicted to it.
Yeah, TikTok to me,
know about your behavior if you're addicted to it and how long you're on it and what you're doing it for.
Yeah, TikTok to me is kind of like watching like America's Funniest Videos back in the 90s. So I will go on it in the evening for like half an hour at the most, and just laugh.
Coming up next.
No, you don't know what's coming up next. I follow a lot of pets and I follow like some charity organizations that do great, like feel good videos and some comedian stuff. And then
that's my only purpose on this thing.
Yeah. It's for me.
The whole thing is just this guinea pig and why he can't be put out in the wild. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm on TikTok.
Or this dog who's best friends with a parrot. I love it.
Wait,
send me more.
Tell me why other people use TikTok, because to me, this is TikTok. Like, but again, we're not out there learning the latest dance move and trying to be on the next viral sound.
No, I don't follow any influencers on TikTok, and I don't even know any of the TikTok stars.
Yeah. When you're creating content for the sheer fact of that sound is going viral that day and you're like running and rushing and trying to spend all this time, money, and energy.
No.
Okay. that might be an addiction, unless like, my goodness, it's paying you really well, or it's heading that way. But, like it's the behaviors in which we use the apps and what we're using them for.
I think we need to ask ourselves how often we're using them. how we feel before and after we use them. Is it positive? Is it negative? Are we using them to escape from something in our life? Because that might be something we need to address within ourselves, with the therapist, whatever it is. And other than those main things, is it impacting our ability to be a mother, a partner, and an employee? If it is impacting those relationships, that's another big red flag. So I would say those 4 things, really evaluate on an individual basis, each one of you. And if it's not an issue for you, enjoy it when it's enjoyable. If it stops being enjoyable to you, stop participating.
Just like anything in life, it can become a problem. Like you can enjoy one chocolate chip cookie, or you can have 24, the choice is yours to make in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all just have to kind of see how our behaviors and how they're affecting our life in a positive or negative way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think this was a super important topic. Hopefully our readers feel the same, and listeners. And I would love to hear you guys take on this, or tips that you have on how you've kind of curbed your social media usage. And I'm sure there are lots of things we haven't even thought to talk about as far as social media goes. So if you'd like to continue the discussion, as always, go on our Facebook page. You'll see the discussion group on there, and we can talk about it further. Make sure you don't miss this article, because the author has her own take. And she also talked about some of the scientific studies behind social media addiction and social media usage that were really interesting. We didn't touch on today.
Yes. I'm big on numbers and analytics. And so those things really, like, for me, those things speak to me more, because then I see like the facts and I'm like, well, wow, so yes, definitely check those out, because those are very important too.
Yeah. So thank you guys all for joining us. We really, as always, appreciate all of your support. We love that we're growing this community, and each and every one of you is important to us. So we want to thank you for listening and for watching. Please don't forget, if you are enjoying this podcast or this YouTube channel, click subscribe and follow and rate and review. That really helps us with all the different algorithms and helps more people to find us. And also, if this is something that you are enjoying, tell a friend about it. The word of mouth is the best way to kind of get our message out there. And we do appreciate each and every one of you that does that, because we are growing, we are trying, we're doing our best.
I find some of my most favorite podcasts through word of mouth. So for sure.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.